Holy shit. Hello, everyone. Listen to this. Are you fucking kidding me? That's so good. That's so good. Like, in the context that it's referencing, like, horror movies specifically, we've got Mike Myers right here, but are you kidding me? That's so good. That's so good. Ah, I love it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a slasher dating sim. I had to check. I just got done eating, so if I'm a little sluggish, that would be it. But it was so fucking good. I had ramen, but I made like a little bit of steak, a little bit of broccoli, some peanut butter in it. Mmm. Oh! Are you kidding me? Okay, I'm so ready to play this. This is a beta, so it's not fully released yet. I don't know what is in the game and what's not in the game. Don't care. I saw that Dead by Daylight released a dating sim, and they charged for it, which is really stupid, honestly, in my opinion. But I heard it was bad, so I'm not gonna pay money for something that's just a goof, a little gaffe, and a bad one at that. I would much rather support an indie creator on Itch.io, which this game is free, by the way. You can donate. Ooh, that's loud. Okay. Warning, this game is 18 plus only. Okay. I'm not gonna read this out loud. Okay, I will. But I'm gonna censor it for YouTube, and I will censor all of the things. I did not know that this was 18 plus. No, go back! Okay, never mind. I'm not reading that out loud. But I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw people eating people as a trigger topic. And it just kept getting worse. It made me laugh so hard. Choose my vessel. Exciting. I don't have titties. I want to be this person. Choose my sex. Blame. Choose your slasher. Oh my god, there's that many more? That many more? They're gonna add that many more? Wow. Okay. Maybe we start on one side and work our way in if we feel like it. I think that sounds good. Let's start with Jason Voorhees. I don't know why I said it like that. Like choose your fighter style. Where did the music go? Come back. The afternoon sun was high, and despite the canopy of green overhead, it still beat down on me with that familiar summer heat. This looks good. This looks good for something I did not pay for. I would have paid for this. I would have paid for this, honestly. It would, maybe when it comes full release, they'll ask money. It would be enjoyable were I not dragging every bit of luggage to my name by hand on an ill-kept dirt road. Lord. It's hard to speak, and I don't know why I said Lord. That is not my vocabulary, usually. Feeling a little awkward because there's NSFW. I was not prepared for that, and also there's no music. Oh, shit. Sorry about that. My husband called me, scared the absolute shit out of me. Admittedly, it was still gorgeous out, and I felt reassured as I reminded myself what lay at the end of this godforsaken trail. I had landed a position as a counselor in training at Camp Crystal Lake, doing most of their dirty work, cleaning up after kids, washing dishes, etc. It'll be fun, I tell myself. It was a chance to get out, see some nature. I'd spoken briefly with one of the owners of the camp when I called about the position, an older woman who said she owned the place and ran it with her son. I wondered how much of this land they actually owned. Seeing just how expansive it was, now that I was in the dead center of it all, I found it hard to believe they could afford the upkeep of such a large piece of land on summer camp profits alone, especially one this far down a dirt road. Fair. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I don't know what happened. I just keep getting hit with waves of excitement. I have no caffeine in my system. I don't know what's happening. Wait, where's the road? Me. Okay, shit. Where am I? Well, this is a little too much nature. Before I realized it, I made a couple of wrong steps off the beaten path straight into unfamiliar territory. A thicket so vast I could barely see the light of day. I tried to turn around and retrace my steps back to the path, but it's as if they vanished, blending in with the rest of the unnavigatable forest. I'm pretty sure I still remember the direction I'm supposed to be headed, so I start walking again, now trudging through the thick kudzu with my heavy bags in tow. The more I walked, the woods just seemed to get deeper and deeper. It was almost eerie how quiet it was out here. Being immersed in nature is one thing, but it felt like I was the only living, breathing thing for miles. That's gotta be terrifying. Where I live, there aren't forests. You could go up on the mountains and find some forests, but, like, not anywhere near walking distance. Everything is pretty short and low to the ground, so you could kind of see everything around you at all times. Griffin, don't rub on my mic, you piece of poo. You piece of poopy boy. You piece of poopy boy. You piece of poopy boy. Wow, you really just want some loves. Some loves. Get out. After a few minutes of treading along, my ear caught a sound. A thumping noise somewhere off in the distance. It was almost rhythmic, like chopping. I picked up the pace, high-stepping it towards the direction I thought I heard the sound coming from. I followed the sound as it got louder and louder, and just in the distance, I could make out a figure. I could just barely see them past the trees, but it was distinctly a person. I maneuvered past some downed logs and tree stumps to try and get close enough to see them. And for them to see me, they seemed to have their back turned. Hello? The man perked up, turning to face me. I stood like a deer in headlights, taken aback by his appearance. He was massive, a lumbering form draped in heavy clothing that felt unnatural for this kind of heat. He donned an unsettling, tattered mask on his face and stared unnervingly through me with unseeing eyes. He turned his body completely to look at me, looming over me like a shadow. That was when I saw it, the axe in his hand. There was a beat of silence, then he moved toward me. In a panic, I dropped my bags and made a break for it. I ran blind deeper into the woods, putting as much distance between myself and that thing as I possibly could. Just as I began to feel safe, a thick root jutting out of the ground caught my foot and launched me into the dirt. The wind was completely knocked out of me, and I heaved as I attempted to sit up quicker than my body would allow. Before I could pick myself back up, there he was, somehow right behind me, looming over me like a bear. His chest rises and falls with slow, deep breaths as he stares silently at me. My body feels like ice. I'm not even breathing anymore. The air is caught in my throat. I'm sure I'm going to die. The figure lurched forward, and I instinctively brought my hands up to shield myself from what was to come. But nothing came. I like the little buttons on his coat. Anxiously, I opened my eyes to find that the man is now crouched down, offering me a hand. He isn't chopping me up with an axe or stringing me up by the neck. He's just trying to help me up. I take his hand cautiously, and before I can protest, he places another strong hand around my arm to support me as I stand. He must have seen how badly I ate it, and assumed my leg might not feel great after such a wipeout. Nice. This is so fun. He brushes off my shoulders too, dusting off the dirt that coated my arms. Nothing felt broken, but I was definitely bruised from the fall. He brings his hand to his chest, beginning to sign. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. You dropped your bags. Well, I see now that he has my backpack slung over his shoulder and my suitcase sitting at his feet. He had time to follow me and grab my heavy-ass bags? Jesus. I mean, he's out there just chopping wood. You gotta be strong to do that a whole lot, don't you? Can't say I've ever chopped wood. Are you looking for the campgrounds? I realized he was talking to me in ASL, so I began to sign back to him. That's cool. It's real great. For a camp counselor to know ASL, that's amazing. Yes, actually, do you know where they are? He nodded, picking up my suitcase and motioning for me to follow him. Silence flowed between the man and I as I found myself staring at his back. His strides were long and well experienced with the terrain, while I felt myself catch on uneven ground. I hurried my pace to match his, the quiet of the forest creeping back up my spine as my bruises began to ache dully. So, I paused, hoping to break the awkward feeling building within my chest. Do people often get lost, or am I just a special case? Not right now, Griff. The man tilted his head in my direction, his eyes catching mine through the hollowed holes of his old worn hockey mask as he shook his head no when he caught sight of my offered hand, willing to take back my bags. It happens. Luckily, you ran into me. Not so luckily, I also ran into the ground. I smile, ignoring the discomfort of my embarrassment as I push the conversation forward. It could be easy to lose yourself here. All right, Griffin. A low chuckle of response sounds from my woodsy savior. Oh, okay. I don't know why I read that as behavior first time around. And I can't help but brighten as a smile tugs against my cheeks. It's a sound I just couldn't help but to beam at. Sorry again for scaring you. Don't worry about it. It really wasn't your fault. I mean, he is a giant masked axe-wielding man alone in the middle of the woods. He's not exactly the most approachable figure. It was mostly the axe. What were you doing out there anyway? Chopping wood for our campers to carve later. For making fire as well. Well, that makes sense. See a man out in the woods with an axe, think firewood, not maniac. This is so exciting. After a few minutes of correcting my poor navigation, we finally made it to the campgrounds. It's a bit surreal how different it is from the deep woods. The campgrounds are so full of life, kids playing and running around. I have a question. Anyone who lives near, like, a woods, I guess? Do you just get so comfortable going out in it that you know where you are? Or, like, how to get back from where you are? In general, without having to think about it too much? Let me know. I'm really curious, actually. From the center of the grounds, you can really get a good look at the lake. It really is beautiful out here. In this light, I can get a much better look at the man. He's still massive. Lighting didn't change that. But he definitely doesn't look as menacing now. He sets my bags down and turns to look at me. Just because he doesn't look menacing doesn't mean he isn't still intimidating. Are you one of the new counselors? Yes, I am. Your cabin is back there. Feel free to get settled. We can start your training first thing tomorrow. Okay, maybe no more distractions, finally. I got a package, but so exciting. It was my new work shoes for work because I got a job. Yep. I'm sure that'll make me upload more consistently. Anyway, your cabin is back there. Feel free to get settled. We can start your training first thing tomorrow. Did he say training? I'm just noticing that the texture in the background is very, like, oil painting and not digital. But I think it is digital. Just looking at some of the texture is, like, repeated. If that makes sense. Like a digital brush can only create so much unique texture. If that makes any sense. Anyway. Did he say training? Do you work here? He nodded. My name's Jason Voorhees. Oh, what an odd line of work for someone of his demeanor. Wait, is this the son Miss Voorhees mentioned on the phone? I felt an immediate hot wash of embarrassment. It's not a great first impression to run in fear from your new employer. I should introduce myself too. My name is Lane. That rhymed. Well, it's nice to meet you. I'm Lane. It's nice to meet you too, Lane. Okay, I thought I read that wrong. I can almost hear the warmth in his signed words. How genuinely happy he is to make conversation. It softens those edges a bit. A noise catches Jason's attention, pulling him away from the conversation. I have to get going. If you need anything, I'll be around. See you in the morning, Lane. With that, he was gone, wandering off somewhere across the campsite. I picked up my bags and headed towards my cabin, relieved that I was minutes away from a well-deserved nap. I trudged down the path, watching the cabin emerge from the cover of the trees. Counselors were hanging around the cabin's porch, talking amongst themselves and getting their room assignments. Yo! A voice called out to me. Yeah, you! Come over here. I need to get you signed in. I turned to see a couple of counselors, a guy who looked a bit older than me and a girl who was probably around the same age as me. Sorry, I didn't realize. My name's Lane. Okay, I'm gonna admit to some blasphemy right now. I haven't seen the original Jason movie. So, I know of it. I know generally what happens. But if these are references, I'm not gonna get them. Shit. Well, I'll look to see who's next. Ooh, that would be fun. Watching the movie right before playing the game. Then everything would be really fresh. Sorry, I didn't realize. My name's Lane. Yeah. Name's Kevin. I'm in charge around here, so you come to me if you got any issues. Got it? Okay. Kevin looks up and down his list before giving me a passive, unimpressed glance. Yep, you're on here all right. Fern, show Lane around the cabin, would ya? Oh, cool. The girl perked up and nodded. Sure, follow me, Lane. I'll show you to your room. I gave Kevin a thank you nod, but he was already on to talking to the next counselor on the list. I followed Fern inside and was immediately welcomed by the cozy air of the traditional wood cabin. Fern led me to my room and gestured for me to head inside. Alrighty, make yourself at home and I'll be by to get you later for dinner. See you in a bit. She's adorable. I love her. We exchanged a wave as Fern hurried back out to greet the other incoming counselors. I sat my luggage down and made a beeline for the bed. Unpacking can wait. Sitting on the edge of the bed, I kicked off my shoes, only now realizing just how sore my feet were from walking here. Interesting. Again, just noticing the texture of the room. I obviously have fun doing that. That's what I don't get about the way my husband reads, like, comics, is he doesn't, like, stop and admire the art. I always do. I can't help it. I get, like, caught up in the art. And sometimes I'll read a few pages and then I'll have to go back a few pages because I'm like, wait, I need to see that again. Like, I can't help it. It's just, when you see some good art, you gotta see it again, you know? Yep. We are tired and sore. And I clicked out of the game. Rad. I fell back on the bed, climbing under the neatly made quilt. It wasn't long after my head hit the pillow that I was drifting off. Probably should have checked for any, like, abrasions. The morning sun bathes Camp Crystal Lake in a pastel wash. I go about making coffee and some toast before what is sure to be a busy day. All the walking from yesterday had caught up with me. It was as if my legs were screaming at me to go back to bed. I have to get used to it if I'm going to be doing stuff like this for the rest of the summer. Oh no, you did not get dinner? I'm helping the other counselors set up in preparation for campers today. My toast pops up from the toaster and I drag my feet to the kitchen table. I thought there were campers already. I thought when Jason got us to the camp, I thought there were already kids. Yep, okay. I bite into my toast and sip my coffee, still feeling the early morning drunkenness. As I'm on my last bite of toast, there comes a knock on the screen door. I scarf it down and pad down the hallway, seeing a large silhouette at the door. I open it up to see Jason standing there, impossibly tall and muscular. His clothes are tight against his huge frame, and I can practically feel the power that radiates from him as his broad chest lightly follows his breath. Oh god. There's this little thing here. Right here. I wonder what that is. Anyway. His clothes are tight against his huge frame, and I can practically feel the power that radiates from him as his broad chest lightly follows his breath. Seeing Jason almost instantly puts a smile to my face. My screaming legs finally shut up from being blessed by his mere presence. Ooh. I wish I'd given the main character a different name, because I was going to say, ooh, you have a crush, but the crush is me, or I'm the one having the crush. I don't know what's happening. Hey, Jason, what brings you here? Good morning, Lane. I know you were going to join the other counselors in setting up today, but I could really use your help if it's okay with you. The campers are going to arrive soon, so this place needs to be in working order. Think you're up for it? If you want, that is. I can tell Jason is a little shy. It's strange seeing such a huge and impressive man act like this, but honestly, I think it's adorable. I can't help but feel a wide grin grow on my face. Of course, that sounds great. Come on in, I'm just finishing up my morning routine. Jason follows me inside, ducking a bit to get under the door frame. I'm gonna change. I'll be right back. Just wait right here. Jason nods and does what he's told. My heart pounds with excitement in my ears as I head upstairs to change out of my PJs and into my day clothes. He wants me to go with him? After I brush my teeth, I splash my face with water and take one last look in the mirror. I head downstairs back to him. Ready, Lane? I smile and give him a nod, patting my hand on his broad shoulder. We head out the door together and walk side by side to the activities area. Our first job is to haul the kayaks to their proper racks. I watch in disbelief as Jason saunters by with 2 of them in tow. I'm struggling with 1. Fuck, can I please stop clicking that button for the love of fucking Christ? Cheater! I watch Jason's shoulders shake in laughter. He helps drag the kayak I'm battling and lifts it into its appropriate slot. He's so incredible. He's barely even breaking a sweat. It's back-breaking work, but we're able to get it done in record time thanks to Jason's raw strength. Next, we set up the archery range. Jason and I prepare the lanes, set out the targets, and count out the supplies. I bundle them together, 3 arrows and 1 finger tab for each camper. Jason restrings each bow and tests them to make sure they're taut and firm. With this station, all that matters is safety. Make sure the kids, and counselors for that matter, only point their bow downrange when it's their turn to fire. You wouldn't believe how many people almost put someone else's eye out because their mind isn't on safety. I can imagine. Right, no accidents on my watch. I make sure each and every lane is clear of debris, and in no time we're finished up at the archery range. Next, we go to the woodcutting area. I watch in awe as Jason yanks a huge axe out of the stump, and in one deft motion hefts it back over his shoulder before bringing it back down on the block of wood resting on the stump. The wood block snaps in 2. I stare as he repeats the process a few times before turning to me, chest heaving and sweat glistening on his skin. My face heats up at the holy sight. He pulls out a knife from his back pocket. Is that something? Never mind, I'm not gonna ask that question. He pulls out a knife from his back pocket and begins chipping away at one of the split logs. He doesn't even need to look at what he's doing. Wanna give it a try? Me? Jason chuckles and the sound is an absolute delight. God, Jason is just so... He's so... Stop it, Lane. Focus! Yes, you. Here, I have an extra carving knife. Alright, here goes nothing. What should I make? That's so cheesy. I wonder if it would change the outcome. Probably not. Because bear, we think of Jason. Mask, we think of Jason. Heart, we think of Jason. Let's make a bear, because... Oh. Blood. Some more blood. Let's make a bear, because that sounds fun. I attempt to carve a bear. Oh? Is that a bear? Yeah, I couldn't think of anything else. I made something that you remind me of. Huh? I remind you of a bear? Jason tilted his head at me. Oh, I might have said too much. Maybe I can save myself from explaining what a human bear is. Yeah, that might help ya. For instance, you're very big, strong, fearless, like a bear. Wow, I can't believe our character got us in this predicament. In this humiliating predicament. I see. I get it now. Do you think I could keep it? If you don't want it, of course. Give it to Jason. He can have. Oh, really? I don't have anything I plan to do with it, so sure. Thank you so much, Lane. I'll put it on my desk when I get back to my cabin. Of course, Jason. I'm glad you like it. Well, you must be ready for a break now. It's so hot out here. Let's go stock up the freezers. That'll cool us down. I sincerely doubt that statement as I watch Jason lift his shirt to dab the sweat on his neck, exposing his muscular stomach. Perv. I followed Jason to the camp kitchen where we stocked the camp's freezers and pantries with food, enjoying the cool air surrounding us. Oh, I got stressed out. Pamela. Yoo-hoo. Jason. Lane, would you mind helping me prepare dinner? Of course, Mother. Absolutely. Happy to help, Mrs. Voorhees. Please, dear, call me Pamela. Jason and I helped Pamela chop vegetables for salad and man the grills and ovens, which are lined with barbecued meats and aluminum wrapped potatoes, respectively. Oh my god, I could go for some camp food right now. My, Jason has you quite busy today. Oh, yeah. It's been great. I feel like I've learned a lot. You did great today. There shouldn't be much more to do here before the campers arrive. I love to hear it, my dears. You've taken the hard work off my hands. I'm so grateful. The dining hall fills with counselors, and Pamela lets us pick our food first. She stands on her tiptoes to whisper something in Jason's ear. He bends down to hear her. Their eyes flicker to me briefly, and I shift from one foot to the other. Jason waves to his mother as they part ways, and he rejoins me. Do you want to eat with me? I actually have a question for you. Sure, I'd love to. Yeah, that's so uncomfortable knowing somebody's like talking about you. Or like feeling at least like somebody's talking about you. Of course you can't like prove it or anything. But like if you feel it, then that's uncomfortable. It doesn't matter if they are or aren't. It's uncomfy. Sure, I'd love to. We pile our plates high with hot food, and Jason leads us over to a log by the fire to eat. We eat together, and I can barely contain my excitement at being able to spend so much time with him. A little wink. So I've been thinking, I know you're supposed to take a camping trip with the other counselors, but I was wondering if you wanted to go with me and the kids? If not, I understand. It's last minute and all. I screech in delight in my mind, but give Jason a gentle smile. Jason, it'd make me really happy to go with you. Really? That's great. My mother agreed to take your place with the other counselors. This means a lot to me. I study his masked face, his eyes lit up and bright in the firelight. I can hardly contain my own excitement. He must really like spending time with me. I'll come get you tomorrow morning, and we'll head out. That sounds great. Looking forward to it. We finish eating and throw our paper plates in the garbage. Our eyes meet, and I shuffle from one foot to the other. I'm sorry, I was distracted trying to understand. So the counselors are going on a camping trip without the kids, and only Pamela and Jason were supposed to watch over the kids, right? That seems like very few people to watch over a whole group of kids. Isn't that what the counselors are for? Why are they going in separate groups? That's what I was confused about. We finish eating and throw our paper plates in the garbage. Yeah, one more time. We finish eating and throw our paper plates into the garbage. Our eyes meet, and I shuffle from one foot to the other. I'll walk you back to your cabin. That's so goofy. The night air is sweet with honeysuckle as we trek back to our cabins. I love it here. You can see the stars so well. Where I'm from, you never get this kind of visibility. Yeah, me too. It's really beautiful. I notice Jason shove his hands into his coat pockets, and I swear I see a hint of a flush paint his neck in the silver of moonlight. Well, here's my stop. Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for helping out. I enjoyed spending time with you today. Anytime. Yeah, I did too. I start up the stairs and turn to wave to Jason. See you in the morning, Jason. Good night, Lane. Don't let the bedbugs bite. I smile and nod my head at him before closing the door and happily trotting to my bed. I stand next to the bed and fall backward on top of it, letting out a sigh. I'm so lucky. I get to hang out with Jason again tomorrow. Thank you, Pamela, for covering for me. My eyes grow heavier to the point where I can barely keep them open. Jason and I did so much hard work today. I feel so exhausted, I bet. I search for the covers with my legs and pull them over myself. Before I knew it, I started to drift to sleep. Do we not have to share a room with another counselor? Because that's kind of cool. It's now been a few days since I arrived at the camp, and they have been nothing short of tedious. Learning everything from preparing the finest, crustless peanut butter and jellies, Peanut butter jelly. Yesterday I wanted something sweet when I was making lunch, and I didn't want to have another peanut butter and jelly. I have those so often, but I wanted something similar. So I melted some of my baking chocolate and I had a peanut butter and chocolate. I wonder if it tastes like Nutella. I've never really tried Nutella. I think I tried it once and wasn't a huge fan, so I just like don't eat it. But like, I wonder if it tasted like Nutella. Kind of nutty, kind of chocolatey. Finest crustless peanut butter and jellies to being able to help perfect the ultimate tent pitching technique. Oh, whoops. It's something of a thankless job, I've come to realize, but there are parts of it I found quite rewarding. Through my initial encounter with the large looming camp counselor was a shaky start. Every moment since then has been one of genuine enjoyment. I find myself stealing glances and hitting coy smiles when I watch him work alongside me. Yay! Before I might have died of embarrassment anytime his chest touched my back, trying to adjust my hold on tools or equipment, or hid from sight when he had to put out a stove fire because I wasn't paying complete attention to the food. Of course, now that I've had plenty of time to allow him to be my teacher and show me the ropes, being a quick learner has only come to benefit me, and let me get a little closer to my new head counselor. There's something about him that gives me butterflies in the pit of my stomach, making my skin warm and my thoughts muddled. I mean, of course these things happen. Crushes like these happen all the time when people spend every minute of the day together, but I don't know why, but something feels different. Should I be feeling this way? Now that dinner's prepared, I should do something a little more productive than all this daydreaming. Maybe a shower would help. I don't want to smell like oil and chicken parm when I see Mr. Voorhees later. Not if I don't have to, anyways. Voorhees is such an interesting last name, too. I really like it. My boots crunch against the gravel as I step out of the mess hall and take in the crisp summer breeze. The sky paints itself hues of pink, orange, and purple, and my mind steadily returns to my thoughts. I was caught off guard when he personally asked me, of all the counselors, to help him with tonight's bonfire, though, admittedly, I felt a swell of pride. It meant a lot that he felt he could trust me with setting things up and taking care of the kids, and even more so considering I'm the newest of the crew. I imagine it might have had something to do with my ability to mesh with the kids, but I don't care. Whatever the reason, I'm not going to let him down. I find my way back to the counselor's cabin, gathering a change of clothes and a robe in one arm. I press my back to the wooden stall out back and wait for the others to finish. The sound of giggling can only mean one thing, and I can't help but roll my eyes. Eventually, the duo in question would step out, sharing a knowing look with me before it was finally my time. I enjoyed the heat and steam and scrubbed off the smells of firewood and cooked bacon for my body. So there's a couple in the shower? Is that what I'm getting? I tied my robe back on, letting out a satisfied sigh, and begin to head back inside. I find my pants and throw on my favorite sweater. I pat at the big camp sign with a long sigh before heading on out, only making it a few steps down the stairs before slamming straight into something solid. Oof, what the hell? I look up, rubbing my nose, and then I feel my face turn bright red. Of course I'd run right into Jason. That's what I get for not paying attention. I shrink a bit and roll my lips into a thin line. I don't have to try very hard. Mr. Voorhees, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I could tell. You're lucky you didn't trip. You could have sprained something. I find myself mentally sighing. Now he was scolding me, and I didn't need him to speak to know what kind of tone he was adopting. I give a sheepish smile and sign back to him. Don't wish ill on me now. I have dinner all set up. I know you said you needed some help. I was surprised you didn't ask Fern or Kevin for help. They're better at the tents than I am. Jason's gaze stays lingering on me for a moment. He shifts silently in thought before returning its focus back. Fern is busy setting up the kayaks on the boat rack tonight. As for Kevin, his hands still and blue eyes shift to the ground. This is a familiar face, and he makes it a lot where Kevin is concerned. Well, it is Kevin after all. So you don't need me? I'm just happy to help. You came to the right counselor. I am happy to help. I think that should be clear. Also, I am a firm believer that you don't need to shit-talk other people to feel or to like prop yourself up. Like, you don't have to say, well, at least I'm not like this person in that way. You know? You could just say, hey, I'm this way. You know? At least I'm not negative like this person. I'm positive. You could just say, I'm positive. Why do I feel shy all of a sudden? I'm just happy to help. No words needed. Besides, I'm just happy to help where I can. The man nods, planting his hands against his waist and giving me a once-over. He might not have vocalized it, but his eyes softened in recognition of the offer of aid. He raised his hand once more to sign before picking up the lacrosse equipment he had been on his way to put up. Since you started, you've improved leaps and bounds. I have no doubt that tonight will be easy work for you. If you need any help, I'll be here if you need it. It's hard to stop the smile from forming at the corner of my lips, rubbing the side of my neck sheepishly. I'm grateful he's too preoccupied gathering all the sports equipment. It would have been instant death had he seen the flush of my cheeks. Of my cheeks? My hands found my face, rubbing at the heat I had felt before joining him as I walked towards the campsite area. On my way, Jason is quick to sort the equipment on its designated rack, clapping the dust off his hands in completion. So, lead the way. Is there anything in particular you want me to start with first? With ease, Jason collected all of the tent equipment in one arm, biceps flexing with impressive strength as he hoisted it to his shoulder. He noticed my eyes lingering a second too long, but he doesn't bring attention to it. He hands me the box of snacks, all the trappings of s'mores and Vienna sausages, and cants his head to the side in a motion to follow after him. It's your choice. These are the larger tents since it's easier to keep the kids in groups. They've been complaining about noises. The easier I can see them, the better. If you want, feel free to start the bonfire now that it's sundown. Either that or get the torches placed for the trail. After that, you can help with the tents if need be, and we can get food handed out after. I nod, huffing as I struggle to keep up with his long strides, especially with 50 pounds of food sitting on my hip. Once I arrive at the campsite, bare bones and ready to be set up, I know exactly where I'd like to start. And then gives me the option. I thought you knew! Why do I have to know too? Let's do the trail torches. My thought is that, like, being able to see where you're going is better than having one big bonfire going. I'll start setting up the trail torches then. I have a feeling the kids are going to want to spend all their time out tonight. The weather's really nice. Jason nods in agreement, spreading out the tent supplies neatly. He jerks his head in the direction of the plastic container bin close to the scattered seating around the bonfire. All of the materials should be in the bin. There should be oil in there as well. If there isn't, there's some in the kitchen storage area. Without much preamble, I get to work, heading over to the bin and piling the torches into my arms. They're a lot heavier than I remember, but it likely has something to do with picking up 8 of them in one sitting. I feel myself stumble backward a bit, and as I do so, I feel the weight of my body tilt over, sneakers catching over shoelaces and gravel. An explosive gasp left my lips before the familiar feeling of strength took over. I had felt Jason's powerful arm pull me taut to his chest, and when I look up, clutching the torches tight to my chest, I saw the familiar sight of that hockey mask looking down at me, eyes full of concern. Maybe the torches might be too heavy. Do you want me to take over for you? I wish I could stop meeting like this. You could take me right now. I don't want to ask for help. I'm the kind of person that refuses to ask for help unless it's absolutely necessary. And like, our character could just carry less torches. I'm gonna say we should stop meeting like this because that's hilarious. We should probably stop meeting like this. I should be okay. Just took too much is all. There's something of a low chuckle that muffles behind the hockey mask, and it makes my body feel hot all over. With ease, Jason sets me back upright, adjusting the tiki torches in my arms properly before placing his hand at the small of my back in encouragement. Okay, I keep reading this with like a straight face, and that's totally chill and whatever, because right now I'm alone in my room and I'm just reading a visual novel. But it gets immediately more embarrassing the moment I think that I'm going to be uploading this to YouTube for anyone to see. It's awkward to be like, yeah, I'm blushing. I'm blushing because I want that Voorhees. Anyway, not important. Moving on. I can't help but beam at him a bit, and he can't help but soften his gaze when I do. A gentle exchange of silent acknowledgement. He turns his attention back to stomping the stakes in the ground, already partially done with the first tent, before turning to the side to sign to me. I'll leave the oil canister by the star of the trail. If you drop that, well, fried chicken counselor for dinner? Jason pauses, stupefied by my immediate quick wit, and he finds himself chuckling again. I'll say. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, I'll say. Like, I know of it, so I must have heard it, I guess. But, like, in person, I don't think I've in person ever heard anyone say, I'll say. I'm on a roll, I think to myself, heading back up the trail and enjoying the lingering feeling of eyes on my back. It was a short walk, and fortunately for me, the trail used the torches plenty. The trail used what the fuck? Easily finding small holes in the ground to plant, to plant each torch firmly in the ground. It took a little doing. I'm thankful that since I started working here, my legs have gotten plenty of workout from hiking and climbing with the kids. Any torch that gave me pause, I was quick to wrap my leg around it to keep it in place, grunting till finally it fell successfully in place and remained upright firmly. There we go, and record time too. I'd like to see Kevin make these torches so straight. There's a moment where I feel my entire body freeze, however, and my posture straightens up quickly. Goosebumps riddle my skin, making the hair on my arms stand up. What? And instinctively, I spin on my heels, gravel kicking up at the sudden movement. I wait, listening for any indication of unseen eyes, any sound, but none. That's what happens when you only have a coffee and some granola for a meal. I think I should head back now. That's spooky. That's creepy. I was reading a book last night, and, like, it's, I guess, kind of paranormal, like, very lightly. But then all of a sudden there was a ghost and bony fingers, and it weirded me out. I was like, wait. I went back and reread the page, and I was just like, what? When you're just, like, going about your business and suddenly something creepy happens, it's so weird. I turn my back to the long trail behind me, shuddering as I shake the last of the heebie-jeebies off. Stop yawning, Soph. Why are you yawning? It's barely 6. And I got up at 1. Blissfully unaware of whatever was lurking in the dark just beyond the tree line. By the time I had returned to the camp, Jason made a quick work of the tents. I paused to take in the impressive feat, impressed by the sheer speed of producing so many quality tents in such a short amount of time. It was Jason, after all. Should I be so surprised? He doesn't notice me at first, but by the time he does, I've more than already circled back to his side. He flinches a bit, but I only smile in response. It looks great. I bet doing lights out checks will be a breeze tonight with how many sleeping bags fit in here. Are they, like, moving around the grounds, I wonder? Like, we're camping here tonight, we're camping over there today. I went on a kind of camping thing. Sorry. In 5th grade. There's a field trip where you spend, like, a weekend, or was it 4 days or something like that, up on one of the nearby mountains, but we had cabins. We didn't have to sleep in tents. Shrug. Do you guys have any experiences like that where you, like, went to a summer camp or anything? I don't really. Mostly we just stayed home. There was one time I went to, like, a church thing, but it was only daytime thing. And it was really one of the only times I ever went to church. That's the plan. I can't believe you're done with the torches already. You really have improved quite a bit since you started. There it is, the swell of pride I've become so fond of. It feels like, with every compliment on my completed tasks, I've come closer and closer to mastering the craft. Maybe. I'd even reach his level one day. Still, if I had, maybe it wouldn't have been so enjoyable. After all, the learning process has been all the fun. All the memories that I've come to have with him. My hands brushed through my hair, smirking at the commentary of the head counselor. If I showed you all my secrets and my tricks, you might try to capitalize off them. Is that it? I didn't think you had such a poor opinion of me. And just like that, I felt my ego deflate, my smile gone and replaced with a horrified expression. He must have picked up on it. He started to laugh. Laugh! Deep and baritone. It washed over me, and I couldn't help but stare in confusion despite my insensitive comment. That was a joke. I fumbled with my signing a bit. I knew that anyway. I look at the empty fire pit and let out a tired groan. Not exactly my favorite thing, if only because of the level of manual labor involved, but it had to be done regardless. I stretch my arms above my head and plant my hands at my hips confidently. Well, even if no one likes to, setting up the bonfire isn't going to happen on its own. Really? Why don't people like to? Well, not everyone is as strong as you when it comes to hefting all that firewood. Even without seeing much of his face, I could read the confusion easily with body language. There was a moment where he looked around, pausing in his work before canting his head to the side in understanding. So, it must have been in respect to his strength. That made sense. I see. Your body is amazing. What's not to understand? Your body is amazing. Jason looks at me a little off guard and becomes stiff. Sorry, I didn't mean it to come off like that. Your body is an impressive sight. I begin to blush and feel a little awkward after making that comment. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. No, it's okay. Thank you. Jason rides up his sleeves and begins to flex his arms at me, making my face heat up. I can't stop my hand from reaching out and testing his impressive muscles. Honka honka. As soon as I touch him, a strong force hits my face and knocks me down to the ground. It was his fist! Ah, shit. My head. I look up at Jason, who quickly bends down to me. I can't read his emotions right now. I don't know if he got mad or... I start to see double and everything gets blurry. My head hurts so much. I lightly touch the side of my head and bring my hand in front of me. Is that blood? You died. I was not expecting that at all. Wow, okay then. Shit, alright. I guess we could load, but like, we're gonna have to skip a bit. We give Bear. Skip. We give it to Jace. I didn't even know dying was an option. I'm just happy to help. Skip. Set up the trail torches. Big skip. We should stop meeting like this. Big skip. You're like a superhero. It makes you like a superhero if you think about it, especially to the kids. The head counselor rubs at his palms in thought, chuckling sheepishly to himself in a deep baritone tone. The corners of his eyes wrinkle, and beneath that hockey mask was indeed a proud smile. You think so? I know so. There isn't a single kid here who doesn't recognize the work you put into making their summer an amazing experience, even the counselors. There's a sudden abrupt movement from him that draws my attention to his hands as he signs. What he said next, admittedly, I wasn't expecting. Even you? I felt my face grow hot in an instant, and I knew by the way his gaze had grown heavier that he had more than seen it. He could tell I was grasping at straws to respond. Lane? Yes. Even me, especially me. Though there's an initial long, drawn-out silence, neither of us seemed to mind. Instead, we take in the moment with our own small smiles, keeping the admission safe to our chests. I clear my throat, slapping at my cheeks before going to begin work on the bonfire. Dragging the firewood is a bit of a chore, but Jason is quick to help when needed. It feels like now, anytime I express the need for help, he's right there, making sure your needs are met. It's a wonderful feeling, one that gives me butterflies. I remember the oil canister being by the shed, as Jason had mentioned, and moved to gather it up. I fell into a squat, huffing as I drew the oil to my chest, But before I could spin around fully, I heard it again. The same rustling I'd heard coming up the trail to meet Jason. I felt my skin crawl, yelping helplessly before peering around the tree where the noises had come from. I know that there's traps on the outskirts of the camp. Surely a bobcat couldn't have gone so far in. The rustle would come and go, and bravely, for whatever absolutely dumb reason, I felt the need to advance closer. I mean, this was how those people in horror movies died, right? I should know better. It's kind of ironic. Still, I wanted to make sure nothing would jeopardize the campsite. It would have destroyed Jason if it had. A few moments of searching yielded nothing, and as I turned to head back, I heard it. An awful, low, garbled noise that sent me flying out of the thicket, taking off with the oil canister held to my chest like it was my only saving grace. When I skidded over to the bonfire, it drew the head counselor's attention. "Lane, are you okay? You're pale." I curled over, wheezing, letting the canister drop to the floor in a heavy thud. My hands planted firmly atop my knees. I finally found the brain power to sign competently. "I think there might be a bear." I didn't stop to look. I got too scared. Instinct kicks in for the lumbering man, veins popping over broad knuckles as he moves across the campsite quickly, dipping into the shed before coming out with machete in hand. He wasted no time walking in the direction I had come from, all but disappearing from my line of sight. "Jason?" Worry blooms in my chest and my throat tightens quickly. If it was a bear, was Jason even a match for it? After what feels like an eternity, I don't know why I'm so into this. All I want to do is find out what's happening with this bear. After what feels like an eternity, I find myself shifting in place. I didn't want to wait anymore. I start to dart in that direction, and before I could get too far, I felt powerful hands grabbing my biceps in a sudden grip. I shriek, but Jason, at this point, is used to my jumpiness. This comes as no surprise to him by now. Still, it doesn't stop him from looking at me in concern. "Jason! Oh my god!" I'm starting to think we have a pattern here, running into each other. I feel a familiar feeling of warmth run across my face, but I steady myself by breathing slowly instead. His hands on my arms make me feel safe, and calm comes easily because of it. I run a hand across my face nervously and nod with a crooked smile. I couldn't find any tracks or bear, so it might have been a trick of your mind. "Did you eat today?" As if on comedic, horrible cue, my stomach growls softly between the spaces of the silence. "Right. We'll wrap things up here and get some food in you then, alright?" I don't know how you put up with me. There's a moment where his hands tense on me, his grip almost tightening in reassurance. As I look up to meet his eyes, crystal blue, soft, I feel my heart skip a beat. It feels like I've done nothing but get myself into mess after mess since I stepped out of my cabin this afternoon. But he had taken all of my fumbling in stride. Even now he looks at me like I couldn't possibly do anything wrong, and most definitely with newfound warmth. "That's what superheroes do, right? I have to take care of you. Let's wrap things up, alright?" I don't feel embarrassed in the way that I smile or find comfort in his words. With a nod of my head, I take to pouring the oil into the bonfire, carefully lighting it ablaze with the lighter. I look to the sky and admire the hues of pinks and blues that came with the sunset, and still glance over at the head counselor as I finish up my snack. "That's sweet. Looks like everything's done." Then he, sees himself as a superhero now. By the time the sun had set, all the kids had taken to their tents, sleeping bags in hand, and got to running around enjoying the activities of the night. I ducked back into the cafeteria to get the menu for the evening, something every child, even adults like myself, would look forward to. Fried chicken, drumsticks, 3 cheese mac and cheese, and a side of... I thought fried chicken and drumsticks were 2 different things. Fried chicken, oh god, I did it again. Fried chicken drumsticks, 3 cheese mac and cheese, and a side of veggie fries. I want some cucumber and hummus now. For dessert, Jason had opted to vote for apple slices, but there's no moving me when it came to s'mores. It took some doing, but the night had gone so well, it was like he was willing to go along with whatever I recommended. I shouldn't let this go to my head, but I don't know. I think I like him a lot more than I realized. I paused in my walking, exhaling softly and smiling to myself, clutching the trays before looking out to where Jason had been. A few of the children had gathered around him, watching with anticipation as he showed them the proper way to sharpen a stick for them to roast their marshmallows on. Even with full bellies, the moment dessert was mentioned, they were ready for more. It was adorable. Seeing him mesh so effortlessly with the kids, especially given his age and sometimes brash temperament. Oh, look! Our characters in the picture. That's so neat. Very ambiguous. Look at this little kid's face. That's so funny. I head over, waiting until most of the kids were settled before breaking their concentration. Drumroll? No drumroll, guys? I might have to eat these all on my own. Marshmallows! Gimme, gimme! Can I have 2, 3, please, Lane? I laugh a bit, feeling small hands tugging at my cargo shorts and pulling me off balance a bit. Once I gathered a crowd, I found my gaze traveling upward and locking eyes with the head counselor, he was giving me such a look, so new and intense, I thought my heart would fly out of my throat. I swallowed, the tug of hands pulling me back to reality. I'll tell you what, the one who sits the most still and doesn't blink gets 3 marshmallows off the bat. Ready? It took little effort to growl them all, but once the marshmallows went onto the sticks and the kids all had their chocolate and graham crackers set up, I finally found time to sit down. An explosive, tired little raspberry blew past my lips as I had my 5 marshmallows lined up, ready for building, when a shadow loomed overhead of me. My gaze looked upward, smirking as the head counselor took his seat beside me, eyeing my stick and its contents. I can sense the judgment. I built the first, placed the stick between my thighs, and popped it into my mouth to sign to him. What? Isn't 5 excessive? No. Only if you eat them every day. Never. It's hardly enough. You can't go camping without s'mores. It's practically illegal, you know? Jason rolled his eyes, building his own s'mores and sliding it beneath his mask, patting the crumbs off his shirt. I didn't notice the way his eyes lingered on my marshmallow collective, only on the day's happenings and the kids' conversation around the bonfire. Okay. He moved closer, scooping up the melting marshmallow and brushing his hand across the top of his knee and thigh. I choked on the s'more, pounding at my chest before swiveling my head to look at him, locking in another intense look once again, though this time he seemed perfectly aware of the effect his eyes had. It could have burned you, you know. Here. I looked at the paper plate he had offered me, but I was quick to return back to those crystal blue eyes of his. I chewed slower, blinking, before looking away shyly with a chuckle. Once I was rid of the dessert in my mouth, I transferred the marshmallows onto the plate, signing with my free hand. Thank you. It's been a long time since I've enjoyed these. Maybe since the last time I was at camp myself, actually. This is my first time, actually. What? There's no way. If you grew up here, you had to have had the chance once or twice. Do you just not like them? There was a moment of silence. Yeah, what the fuck? Who doesn't like s'mores? You're crazy. You're crazy. There's a moment of silence the two of us share, and I feel my stomach not because of it. He looks drawn to the bonfire, unmoved when a few of the kids take to running down the trail. My brows knit tight in concern. Jason? I wasn't exactly popular with other kids. I was bullied often. It was easier to be by myself than to be around other kids. Sometimes around the other counselors, it still feels that way. Fair. Stupid, considering I'm a grown man now. Oh well, I apologize. You didn't ask for a sob story. In an instant, I felt my heart sink like a ship. That's not how it goes. So I asked you a question and you answered, and it happens to be dim. A very sad, dark answer. That's not your fault. That's not... Nobody's allowed to get mad at you for your answer not being what they wanted. Ah! Damn it! Why am I on Jason's side now? Fuck! I guess I was never really not on Jason's side, but I don't know. In an instant, I felt my heart sink like a ship. As I watched him now, the nonchalance in his admittance, I feel an urge rise up inside of me. I could chase it, I tell myself, or I could let him be. Maybe he didn't need to be smothered. I didn't want him to feel I was pitying him, but what if... This one's capital and this one's not. I'm gonna save because the last time I made like a casual choice, I got my head bashed in. Kind of by accident maybe? I don't know. All I did was touch his bicep and he totally walloped me. I think I'm gonna link fingers because that's like more distance. It takes a moment or two, but I follow my instinct to move a little closer, linking my pinky finger first with his settled against the top of the log. It's a simple, intimate gesture, but one that doesn't provoke a strong response out of him outside of a jarring flinch to the stimuli of my hand on his. In fact, his attention turns entirely on me, and I feel my hurt for him hit all the stronger. How can someone be so cruel to someone so kind? Kids can be cruel. You didn't deserve to be treated like that. I'm really sorry, Jason. I hope you never have to feel that way again. If you do, you can talk to me, alright? That's nice. Though he cannot process the way he felt at words in a way I knew off the bat, I could tell by the way he leaned closer that he felt comfortable with the notion. His finger felt at my skin, pressing against the mood ring I'd kept since my childhood and refused to take off, investigating the texture of it before finally settling on lacing his fingers with mine entirely. Thank you. I hope I didn't make you uncomfortable. I don't want you to feel like you have to be so kind and open. I'm kind to you because I want to be, silly. I would have thought you knew as much based off of today alone. I really enjoy spending time with you. If I could, I think I'd spend all of it with you if given the chance. Another long pause of silence and a look of disbelief before canting his head to the side curiously, like a little puppy dog. I didn't think today was special, other than it being a date maybe, but those are normal with people you enjoy, isn't it? He said it was what? What? Yeah, I was also surprised. A date. Excuse me, what? I feel myself get lightheaded almost immediately, stammering aloud before smiling widely, the way one does when they're absolutely nervous as hell. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, anyway. Of course I did. Jason nodded, slipping his hand free from my own and planting both of them on top of his knees. There's a look of relief in his eyes before playing off the nerves of admitting his scheme of isolating me on a date. He doesn't mind that the silence is a bit awkward. He's basking in the moment all the same of our shared enjoyment. I'm glad, Lane. I don't think I would have wanted to spend it with anyone else. Well, that's good. Gotta feel bad for giving him shit about not asking one of the other counselors. My hands rolled into the palms quietly as the night had gone on. What? And all the while my eyes never once left Jason's form. I watched as he took to getting the kids tucked in, assuring them that whatever the shadows that they had seen on the trails were their imagination before sending them off to bed, and picking up toys and scattered marshmallow-covered sticks to deposit in the chipper. So it was. An actual date? He called it a date. Instinct had my hand slapping at my face, groaning when the familiarity of heat ran across my face. I drew my knees to my chest, huffing tiredly as the day's activities were picked apart one by one, all circling back to him. Something inside of me felt almost upset that this was a date, considering how deep in I was becoming. Surely a date would end in a kiss, wouldn't it? Oh, the mere thought set my head spinning. I found myself ashamed. Jason wasn't someone that just ran ahead, kissing and sleeping with whoever he wanted. That was for stupid, insensitive dipshits like Kevin. Wow, okay. Ugh, why is this so... What? A monster! A monster! The shriek almost... Sorry. I hope my baby voice was to your liking. The shriek almost sent me flying out of my skin, standing upright so fast I nearly felt all my weight topple over the other side of the log. I found stability, funnily enough, in the child who tossed themselves into my arms. Tears and snot soaked the pant legs of my khakis, and before I could get a word out, the child gripped in fear at my shirt, pulling me down in a frenzy. Lane, come quick, I saw it, it's by the lake. It almost ate my face off. You gotta slow down, okay? Take a deep breath for me, okay? It took watching me do it, but as I fell into a crouch and calmly held the child in place, breathing in deep for him to follow, he nodded in a pout and tried to stabilize his breathing. We repeated the process for a moment, and finally, after a couple of minutes, he was able to speak coherently past his hiccuping and nerves. Poor baby. Dawn and Mabel dared me to throw a rock at it in the woods. I didn't think there was a monster, but I heard it and even took all of our sleeping bags. Oh, did it? What? But why aren't your sleeping bags in your tent, Marcus? We wanted to wake up the flying fish, so we were going to sleep by the river. Oh, okay. I nodded at the young boy. It might not have flown with Jason had he told him, but I could understand if anything. I rose to my feet and scooped the young boy into my arms carefully, turning to the woods with a big, heavy sigh. Jason was still gathering up the other children at the entrance of the campsite, so I'd have to handle this on my own for now. Determination took over, and with a firm nod, I looked up to the boy, sniffling and rubbing his snot across his pajama sleeves. All right, Marcus, you're gonna have to be brave for me, buddy. Can you tell me exactly where you and the girl saw the big monster? We have to get your sleeping bags back, okay? But what if... Heckin' kids, man. Hey, I won't let anything happen to you, okay? If you can get scared, you can run as fast as you can. I'll keep the monster distracted. I'm a camp counselor, so you know what that means? The boy shook his head, wearing his puppy dog eyes proudly. I smiled at him, wiping his tears with a curl of my finger to his cheek. I'm practically a superhero. Like Mr. Voorhees? Just like him. But he's a lot cooler. He has more muscles than you. I felt myself just deflate with a raspberry, pursing my lips indignantly. Fuck. I'm getting tired of talking. It's getting really difficult. I felt myself deflate with a raspberry, pursing my lips indignantly. Kids really were cruel little assholes when they wanted to be, I thought to myself. I smiled regardless, shaking my head a bit at the small boy. Maybe, but I'm a lot faster. So, you with me, Marcus? The young boy gave a nod, and I returned it with one of my own. With the child in my arms, we both began to head down the path, looking side to side through the tenebrous dark. The pines forming a sea of trees that felt as if they had gone on for miles and miles. I felt a shudder run down my spine at the idea of actually finding something lurking out in the woods, especially after all the stuff I had heard today, too. Jason had said he had never found anything, but I found myself in disbelief even then. There was too much noise, too much rustling, and displacement in the woods for there to have been nothing. Yeah, I mean, he just didn't find anything. Whatever it was probably got scared and ran off. We had to been on the trail for some time, and after 15 minutes, give or take, we had heard it then. At the same time, the sound of something heavily breathing, snapping branches underfoot with the weight of its steps. On a knee jerk, I slapped a hand over the mouth of the young boy who was ready to scream and threw us both behind the safety of a tree, sliding against it and falling in a crouch. I felt my throat lock up, sweating despite the cold of the late evening and feeling my heart hammering away in my chest. Yeah, our character's kind of a dumbass. What I mean is, like, our character should have told somebody that they were leaving the camp to whatever they were doing, wherever they were going. They should have mentioned it to someone. They also shouldn't have taken the child. They should have just gotten the best guess from the child and left the kid in the care of the, like, group, you know. They're kind of a ding-ass. A ding-ass. I felt my throat lock up, sweating despite the cold of the late evening, and feeling my heart hammering away in my chest. Okay, when I say run, you need to run, okay, Marcus? Don't look back or stop. The boy nodded frantically, tears pricking at his eyes again as the sound of heavy footsteps came closer and closer. The more I listened to it, the more I recognized what the creature it was. What creature it was, okay. There wasn't a camper alive who didn't recognize the heavy growling of a grizzly. See what I'm talking about? Woods are scary. There are no grizzlies here in Arizona. It's so scary. And while they had every right to be in the forest, it didn't make the fear of being attacked any better. They were still territorial, and they were still camping in their backyard after all. My hand patted the ground, feeling for anything that could be used as a distraction, and finally found purchase against a heavy rock. Swallowing around the lump in my throat before peering around the trunk of the tree we both hid behind. At the sight of the lumbering mass of shadow, I was quick to pitch the rock in the direction of camp, watching as the animal flinched and let out a ferocious roar into the night air. Why did you throw it towards the camp? What? Normally when you're like throwing a rock for a noise distraction, don't you want the creature to go towards the rock? So sending it towards the camp seems like a bad idea. Color left my face. My body, if I had a mirror proper to see it, I imagined. What? Color left my face. My body, if I had a proper mirror to see it, I imagined, but fortunately it took off running in the direction of the noise. Yeah! That's what I'm saying. It gave me enough time to push the young boy in the direction of the campsite. Oh, the opposite direction of camp. Oh, okay. That's my bad. I misread that, sorry. Maybe I read it correctly and just misunderstood. I don't know. Either direction. Sorry for shitting on you, our character. Go! Marcus wasted no time, nodding and whimpering as he ducked in and out of the tree line, disappearing into the night and towards the safety of the camp. My legs felt like jello, and I rolled my head back, exhaling shakily as I opened my eyes and took in the shifting expanse of leaves the tree canopy provided. Okay, Lane, we got two choices. Yeah, I don't know why we didn't both go back towards the camp, gotta be honest. I'm gonna save anyway, just in case I get myself mauled. But, I feel like going back towards the camp is like a trick. It's like a red herring, maybe? But we'll go back towards the camp. I don't know, it seems safest. I definitely can't handle a grizzly bear on my own. I need to let Jason know back at camp. It took some doing, but eventually I found the courage to finally push myself up into a stand, peering around the tree trunk to see if I'd caught sight of the creature. The massive shadow was nowhere in sight. A good sign to be sure, but I wasn't out of the woods yet. Haha. Maybe in a less stressful situation, I would have found that sort of funny in a redundant kind of way. But my mind was elsewhere. Okay, so it was intentional. Ha ha ha. I started to follow along the same path Marcus had, holding my breath on and off and looking behind me periodically, until I felt the trail was safe enough to step onto to avoid the snapping branches and foliage. As I continued walking up the path, looking between the spaces of the trees and the bushes, I began to notice more and more destruction along the way. Claw marks raked across the bark of the trees, scattered fabric and material stuck to the tops of bushes and tangled in branches. I couldn't tell if it was my own hysteria starting to peak either, but I could have sworn at one point, was that blood on the trees? Nope, time to go. The monster. Roar. Yup, time to go! There was no time to waste. The moment I heard the thud of heavy footsteps pulling my attention to the trees just to the right of me, I made contact with two big, shiny dark eyes and found my feet picking up instantly. Fear guided me now, my lungs barely able to take in what little air I was bringing in with my frantic breaths. Dirt and debris kicking up, and I nearly toppled over more times than I could count as I raced ahead, pleading with whatever cruel god was out there watching me struggle against this horrifying shadow, racing alongside me in the dark with heavy thuds in the mud. Shit, 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 shit. Here it goes. I felt my foot catch on the uplifted root of a tree, tossing me across the gravel in a tumbling roll. You dummy. I didn't have time to react to the cut or the scrapes, only just enough time to scramble into another solid forest, one I could only assume would be the embrace of whatever demon animal was chasing after me in the woods. My screams deafened me, but instead of hot searing pain, I only felt arms wrap around me in a tight embrace, pulling me into the familiar feel of a broad chest and the smell of s'mores. It's canon. Jason Voorhees smells like s'mores! Jason! The head counselor let out a heavy sigh of relief, powerful hands quick to grab and tuck me into his side before looking around, analyzing the forest around him. I hadn't noticed the machete clutched in his hand until he was pulling it up, jerking his head around to follow the rustling all around us, closing in fast. Over there, Jason! This is weirdly intense. I'm trying not to get too into it, but why? Why not get into it, you know? Why not? Ugh. He was guided by my hand gripping his shirt, spinning with me tight in his grip, with his weapon at the ready, palming in anticipation. There was a low growl and a sound of hurried footsteps, then nothing. The forest fell silent. I couldn't keep the tears at bay any longer. I buried my face into the head counselor's shirt, shaking my head to let him know the threat was gone. Maybe it was too much, but in the moment all I could do was wrap my arms around him, pulling him into a hug. I guess it must have been really traumatizing. I bet, dude. I can't imagine being chased by a grizzly and, like, getting away with it. I don't even know what you would do. Like, what are your options? Nothing. Nothing. None options. After a few moments, I could feel him returning it, followed by the clamoring sound of a machete falling unceremoniously onto the dirt path. I gasped, allowing him to lift me off the ground a bit from the strength of his embrace, but I couldn't deny the comfort and joy I felt knowing he was there, protecting me, and recognizing my own fear. I'm sorry, Jason. I shouldn't have run. I'm stupid. I'm really stupid. Damn it. There was a silence between us both for some time, but after a while he pulled away and dropped to a knee to provide a more amicable height. What the fuck? How tall is he? Wait, what? I flicked away the hot tears streaking my face, and after a long exchange of glances, he signed to me. I won't let anything happen to you. Even if I can't see it, I'll be there to keep you safe, just like you did for young Marcus. I smiled at him, chuckling and nodding as I inhaled the last of my tears, swallowing my anxieties until they disappeared. I looked back to the mess behind me, Jason following my gaze. The kids are already talking about a lake monster tearing up the forest. I'll wake up another counselor to join us and stay up to watch the tree line, but I don't want there to be any unfounded rumors. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry, Jason. He shook his head and pulled me in once more for an embrace. He didn't hesitate. He didn't feel awkward or distant. This was warm. He didn't flinch when I wrapped my arms back around him, and I felt eternally grateful for that. Let's head back. I think I need another s'more. Wow. What? Okay, well, I'm grateful that I didn't have to worry about any censoring in this whole video. Slasher Sim supporters. If you're interested in becoming a supporter, okay. I'll link it below. I'll link this supporters link below. I'm so interested. Damn it! I can't believe it's over. But if they're all this length, like, what was there, maybe 6 so far available? And they're all about this length? That's a lot. That's a lot. Let me know if you guys want to see any of the other... I don't know if they would be called monsters? Slashers? Let me know if you guys want to see any of the other slashers, okay? I had a ton of fun. I hope you did too. I really want to play the full version. I wish they had a release date on it. Dang. Okay, make sure you guys stretch, drink your water, take care of yourselves, okay? I'll see y'all in the next one, alright? Bye!